So the functional areas, just to remind you again, inside of a company will be operations management, which we've done. We are doing HR, marketing, finance, and then the last one is logistics or supply chain management. Okay, those are the 5 functional areas of a company. Guys, also remember, and this is something we're going to look at today as well, not all companies are big enough that where they can actually afford to have separate departments per functional area. So sometimes you might have the bookkeeper, if it's a really small company. So think of a company that only has 10 or 15 employees. It doesn't really justify to have a separate HR department. So you might, for instance, have the admin person might also be the HR person, or the HR person might also be the admin person, or the HR person might also assist in the finance department, for instance. In really small companies, you'll have the owner might also be responsible for the HR. It does depend on the company. And remember, big companies like Momentum, Discovery, Sasol, Toyota, they will have a whole section of HR, and that HR department will be broken down into smaller departments. So it really does depend on the size of the company. So when we look at what we're going to do today, first of all, we are going to look at the relationship between line management and human resource department. We're going to look at the process that is involved in HR planning, recruitment, development, retaining of employees, motivating the employees. And then the last bit that we're going to do is we are going to look, that's why it's so teeny tiny at the bottom, because there's so many of them. We are going to look at the different laws that deals with HR management and just with employees in general. So guys, the first thing is the relationship between line management and the HR department. Okay. So like I said here, the HR function is a very crucial element in the business. And the main role of HR is to be a strategic partner. They are there in a support role. They have a supporting position. So they essentially support the whole organization to be able to achieve its objectives. So what HR management is essentially responsible for is ensuring that the company has employees, that the employees are motivated, that they are productive, that they actually do what they are supposed to do, so that the organization can achieve its own objectives and its own vision and mission that it planned out to achieve. So it is responsible to contribute to labor productivity, improving the skills of employees, but it also needs to be accountable for its actions. It deals with the recruitment, selection, training, developing, rewarding, assisting, and motivating the employees. It is the only department that really works very closely with the employees and are essentially responsible for the employees. So if you think of finance, finance isn't really responsible for the employees. They are more responsible to ensure that the company gets paid, that they pay their suppliers. Marketing is responsible for marketing the specific product, but HR is solely responsible for the employees of the company. So guys, let's quickly watch a video, and this video is going to just give you a little bit more information on what HR is all about. Let me just quickly put it in here. Okay, sorry guys, I quickly just want to share it with you. Let me just see if it will actually share.
In the beginning, the role of your HR team was largely functional. It was centered around payroll, leave, policy making, and training. Recruitment generally meant putting an ad in the paper and hoping for the best, or hiring a recruiter. Then things changed. Technology and social media happened, and as a result, your role as the head of HR began to evolve. Being just a brand name company was no longer enough. Because of social media, everyone knows what it's like to work in your company. They can see who works there, if you have cool company perks, what your company culture is like, even if your office is a slide. The employer brand was born. Now every employee is an ambassador. Their experiences are shared with a captive online audience who in turn share it with their audiences. Today, the first step of recruitment doesn't start with a job application. It starts online. The very first thing a prospective job candidate does is run a search on you. Not just your company. It's also your LinkedIn profile that they are looking at. As the head of HR, you now also need to be a brand builder and a marketer. Recruitment began to change too. Technology opened up a whole new world of talent. But not just active job seekers, but hundreds upon thousands of qualified candidates who weren't actively looking. It was a game changer. You now have direct access to talent. You no longer have to wait for the right CV to cross your desk. Your employees were also increasingly becoming a valuable source of recruitment. As ambassadors for your company, they were best placed to identify the right people to join your team. But for them to do that efficiently, you needed to give them the right tools. A strong employer brand, a great company narrative, and an inspiring work environment. As the head of HR, you now also need to be a communications expert and motivator. Technology also opened up an overwhelming world of data to HR leaders. There was so much opportunity to utilize this data to improve the decision-making process, make better hires, and retain talent, all at your fingertips. You just had to make sense of it all, because you now needed to be an analyst and an insights person. Today, the role of HR in an organization is no longer functional. It is transformational. As a head of HR, you are responsible for building your employer brand so that you attract the right talent. You deliver value for your company by understanding and using data-driven insights to improve efficiencies. You hire the right talent by connecting with the right people. You are a brand builder, an analyst, a communicator, a motivator, and a collaborator. And as your partner at LinkedIn, we're here to provide you with just the tools and insights you need to get the job done.
Okay, so guys, if you actually do not have a LinkedIn profile yet, go and create your own LinkedIn profile. It is so important because, like this video said, this is where employers go first. They go and check what does your online social media presence look like. And just a tip, guys, maybe go and essentially imagine giving your phone, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter to your parents and asking them to go through your photos. If your parents, if they are kind of raising their eyebrows or asking you about a particular photo, you are guaranteed that an HR department will pretty much do the same thing. Okay. So, okay, so guys, let's continue with HR management. So, like in the video, it said that an HR manager is actually also a brand manager. So, when an HR manager is recruiting an employee, the first thing an employee will ask, but what does this company offer me? I know that what I can offer you, but what can you offer me? Just as much as an HR manager will be interviewing potential employees, and a potential employee is also busy interviewing the company itself. Sorry, guys, I just had to take a sip of water. Okay, so the primary benefits at a company will be the salary. There might be pension options, there might be share options as well. So if you work there for a certain amount of years, you might qualify for a percentage of their shares. Then the secondary benefits can be the working conditions. So you might be able to work from home. It can be the amount of leave that they're offering. They can have flexible working hours, so you can maybe choose what time do you want to start and what time do you want to leave. The working hours at the moment that companies allow is 7 to 4, 8 to 5, and then 9 to 6. Some companies allow 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock as well, but it does depend on the company. And this is important questions that you have to ask when you go for your interview. And then another benefit is recognition. So there might be a holiday, or you can go and ring a bell if you've made your target. But what are the different ways of that companies use to recognize their employees? They can also have training and development. So they can, for instance, send you on a year-long training course where you learn everything about the company before you actually start. They can have career development. So, yeah, career development. And then also the company culture. Remember when I showed you guys the video of King Price in first semester, and I said, I honestly feel that working at King Price would be like the coolest thing ever, because it's just such a cool company for me. And you can just see that from their company culture. Also, maybe things like their corporate social responsibility, their corporate social initiatives and investments that they have. Maybe they do a lot for the community. And that is really something that you are also passionate about. So if you have to weigh up two companies that both want you, you can also go and look at all of these extra things that might be the added benefits that you will receive from the company. So guys, the next thing we're going to look at is the organizational effectiveness and HR management. So like we've already said, what are some of the responsibilities that the HR department has? And some of them are that they assist employees in reaching their goals. Remember that when you do a performance appraisal every year, that we have spoken about performance appraisal in first semester as well, but we will speak about it again in this chapter. When you do a performance appraisal with an employee, you will ask the employee, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself? What do you want to do? And we have moved away from companies where they just expect their employees to come to work, do the work, and then go home again. Companies have evolved to become so much more than that. They are actually now caring more about their employees and about their goals. Then they have to ensure the efficient use of the employees' skills and abilities. So if you maybe have an employee that you just feel is not the right fit in this particular department, maybe they are in the finance department, but it's a very creative person, and they would just be better suited, for instance, in the marketing department, then that is something that you can discuss with the employee, because it's about their skills and their contribution to the company and to make the company better as well. We have to provide well-trained and motivated employees. We have to assist in job satisfaction, self-actualization. Remember, self-actualization, if you look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, it is all the way at the top. Then developing a quality of work life. Ethical policies, they need to be socially responsible for the behavior of the employees. They also need to manage any change that are happening inside of the company. So if the company is maybe restructuring, then they also have to manage that change, manage the concerns of the employees as well. And the most important one is that HR management is also involved in the strategic decision-making process of the company. So we are going to look a little bit more to that. So just keep that in mind, that they are involved in the strategic decision-making of the company. Important question now is, who performs the HR function? Okay, so if we have a new recruit, that recruit needs to be brought up to speed as quickly as possible by an effective appointed person. There's a reason why when you start at a new company, you go and sit with every single manager in every single department so that they can give you an overview of their specific department. It's not because they don't have work for you to do, it's so that they can bring you up to speed with what their role in the company is, and how your role and their role will overlap, or how you support each other. So this is where line managers, remember my line managers are my managers of my different departments, and HR will obviously get involved. And you have to make sure that your HR function and the HR department is run effectively. Otherwise, it's going to lose its purpose. If you're going to send a new recruit to different departments and the managers are sitting there and they're like, okay, yeah, so I'm not really sure like what to like tell you, because like I don't know, my job is just such a big and wide, and I don't really know what it's going to mean to you. Okay, it's going to lose its purpose. Why is the person even there? We are busy wasting the new recruit's time. So obviously, like we've said, in big companies, there will be a specific HR department, and there will be a specific person or a smaller department inside of the HR department that is responsible for the training of new recruits. And they will normally have a training program as well that you will go on that will assist you to adapt to the new company. Just for interest sake, guys, the ratio of an HR manager or an HR specialist to employees is 1 to 50. So that essentially means that for every 50 employees, there should be at least one HR manager. So if you have a company of 200 people, that means you need to have 4 different HR managers that will be able to deal with those 200 employees. Okay, so guys, the first activity that I have for you that I want you guys to think about is Lila and John are owners of a small coffee shop. They have both seen growth in their businesses and they need to recruit more staff. Okay, it is the festive season and obviously more staff will now be required. They have decided that they need 2 more baristas and 3 more waiters, and they require your assistance in assisting them with the activities that are related to the HR function. So guys, some things that I want you to think about. Who in this case is going to perform the HR function? Remember I said it's a small company. Okay, so it's a small company. Who is going to perform the HR function, and what HR activities in general do you think Lila and John will have to think about before they can even think of employing their baristas and their waiters? Okay, so guys, just for interest, like if anyone doesn't know, a barista or the person that actually makes the coffee. So like a chef will make the food in a restaurant, a barista is like a coffee chef, essentially. Okay, that's the person making the coffee at Starbucks or Seattle, for instance. Okay, so guys, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Quickly think about who is going to perform this HR function and what are some of the questions or the things that they have to think about before they can even start with their recruitment process. Okay, so guys, let's look at some of the things relating to the HR function. The first one is, who do you think is going to perform or will have to perform the HR function in this specific scenario? Okay, so Daniela says Lila and John are the HR in this case, and they will have to ask questions. For instance, have they worked as a barista before? If so, for how long? And if they were dismissed, does the waiters have experience? Do they need to be trained? Yes, and then Megan, Amar, same. Lila and John will have to perform the HR function. Okay, so guys, another question. What is going to, because remember, they have seen growth in their coffee shop, but what is going to happen after the festive season and it kind of goes a bit quiet again? Okay, so it quiets down a little bit. What are we going to do then if we hire 2 baristas and 3 waiters? What would you have done? Okay, so guys, think about, for instance, remember in this case, it is the festive season, and that's why it is a bit more busy than usual. So, what if it quiets down again after Christmas? What if January comes and then the coffee shop is quiet again? We've just hired 2 baristas, we've just hired 3 waiters. What are we going to do? Okay, so yes, Keanu, what Keanu is suggesting is they should maybe consider temporary employment. So Daniela's also saying maybe part-time employment, maybe just have a contract with them for a month or 2 months, for instance. We can't really employ someone full-time and then fire them after 2 months. It's not right. Okay, it's not right to do. If you have someone from the beginning that know that they only have a 6-month contract or a year contract, then that expectation of you are going to be here forever from both parties is then eliminated. So the honest thing and the right thing to do will be to only employ them part-time, and then at least there's not that expectation from the employee, for instance, that they are going to be there for the next 5 years or something like that. Okay. So guys, another thing that we have to also think of is we might be more busy, but are we busy enough that it actually justifies to have 2 more baristas and 3 more waiters? So can we actually afford the additional 5 salaries that we have to pay for the baristas and the more waiters? So we also don't want to have employ 5 more people and then we don't actually need that many people. Another thing that we have to think of is when we actually employ our baristas and our waiters is the culture of the company. What type of barista and waiter or what type of person are we looking for specifically? They have to fit into the company. They have to fit into that specific position. Like with a barista, for instance, if, I mean, you guys have been to Starbucks or Seattle, there are people that have the weirdest combination of coffees. So they'll have a skimmed milk, large macchiato with vegan coffee powder, with what else can we add? With sprinkles on top of that. So you need to have a barista that is able to listen to what the person wants. If they give them the wrong order, we're going to have customers that are upset. With waiters, we need to have people that are like to maybe that are friendly. They like to chat to the to the customers, for instance. You can't have someone that's really quiet. They don't really say anything. So you really need to go and look at what type of person do you want that's going to fit into the particular coffee shop. Guys, remember, I'm also thinking here of like a Starbucks kind of coffee shop. If you have a coffee shop that is maybe frequented by like pensioners, for instance, then you'll have another type of employee in mind as opposed to Starbucks, for instance. Okay. So guys, when we move on to theme 2, so theme 2, we're going to look, this is actually our biggest part of this chapter. So we're going to start with our human resources planning. Human resources, just like anyone else in the company, also have to plan. And there are 3 phases that we're going to look at. So I've just added the phases here at the top. The first one is that we have to identify the work being done in the organization. Then we have to do our human resource forecasting. And then lastly, we'll have our human resource plan. So the first one, identify the work that is currently being done inside of the organization. And there we have a job analysis, a job description, as well as a job specification. So a job analysis, this is where we physically look at what each job entails that is being done inside of the organization. The job description, this is where we look at, we're trying to get a good insight into the specific job. And then the specification. So this is the qualifications, the characteristics that an employee needs to possess in order to perform the duties and the responsibilities in the job description. So guys, what I quickly want you to do for me, I'm going to give you guys another 5 minutes or so, is I want you to quickly go and think, quickly go and look for a sales manager for me. So I have a sales manager, I have an au pair for you as well. And then lastly, we can do a mechanic maybe. Okay, so we'll look for a mechanic. I want you to quickly go and determine the job specifications, so the qualifications and the characteristics or the requirements that the employee must possess in order to perform that specific duties and the responsibilities of the job. Okay, so I'm going to quickly post it in the comment section. We have a sales manager, we have an au pair, and then we have a car mechanic. So quickly jump onto Google, you can go to Indeed, you can go to PNet as well. And I just want the qualifications. So what qualifications or any other requirements will there be of a sales manager, au pair, and a mechanic to be able to perform that particular job? I'm going to give you guys, let's say, 10 minutes. Come back, and then we'll quickly discuss those 3 jobs. Okay, so guys, let's quickly look at a sales manager, for instance. So what are some of the qualifications and requirements could you find for a sales manager? Okay, so Tumilu has bachelor's degree in business marketing communications, 5 years experience in sales, strong oral written communication skills, proven ability to lead a team, yes, because you are a manager, and then excellent leadership skills, yes, because you are a manager. Okay, so guys, while the rest of you are still typing, the one I could find, Daniela says that they need to have good interpersonal skills. I could also find a sales manager. So let me just quickly see. Okay, it's sharing it now. Okay, cool. So mine needs to also have 5 years experience in sales, 5 years field sales experience required. In bold, it says high ethics. Excel skills is a must. Mine doesn't specifically say what qualification, just says matric and a tertiary qualification will be advantageous. So here, if you, what I see here is that it's not really required to even have matric, because it does say it will be advantageous. It doesn't say that it's actually required. You need to have a driver's license. A manager must have a proven track record of delivering exceptional results. Yes, because as a sales manager, so you'll probably have to work with targets. Must be passionate about hitting and exceeding targets, like I just thought it would, and the experience of fast-moving consumer goods. Okay, so fast-moving consumer goods at the bottom. So this is also advantages. So this is like a it's like a second benefit almost. Okay. Okay, guys, next one will be au pair jobs. What could you guys receive? What requirements do you need for an au pair job? Okay, so full driving license, no criminal record. They need to obviously enjoy looking after children, because that's what you are going to have to do as an au pair, is looking after children. Obviously, you need to have a driver's license, because I assume that you will have to maybe pick up the kids from school or take them to school, something about like that. Keanu also says passionate about the children. I found quite an interesting one, which sometimes you'll find things on these adverts that are just weird. Okay, so the one that I have here, sorry guys, I'm just waiting for it to share. Yeah, so no criminal record. Guys, a criminal record is quite a big thing. Actually, no job with no job can you have a criminal record, and if you do, you have to explain that criminal record to them. I once had someone apply. We found out that they had this is at the previous job where I used to work years ago. They had a criminal record. They actually, it was, I'm quickly trying to think, it was for, oh guys, I'm thinking now. It was for violence or intimidation or something like that. And then, I mean, that's quite a serious thing. That's not just not paying your speeding fine, for instance. And then we had to go back to the person and ask them to explain the criminal record to us. And it's not always nice. Okay, imagine you have someone that have stolen before at a previous company. It's a big thing. Okay, so let's quickly see what everyone else is saying. Okay, Keanu. Yeah, this is in Joburg. If you want to look after, it's a 2-month-old baby I saw that you have to look after. Yeah, you need to be able to speak English to a good enough standard. Maybe there's some, there can also be ambassadors that are, for instance, living in South Africa, and they need someone that can speak French or another language that can look after their kids. So guys, so this specific one that I have here, yes, there's a good salary. This says they must have at least 12 consecutive months of formal child caring experience, excluding work done for friends and family. So if you say that you've been looking after your sister's child, that will not count for them. Okay. This experience must be within the last 2 years. I mean, I thought I could qualify for this, but unfortunately, I used to look after kids when I was studying, so that will not be within 2 years. Must have their own reliable car, at least 18 months driving experience, 2 contactable childcare references, clear criminal record, passion for children, obviously, must have matric, and must have a South African ID document. The weird part for me, it says fraudulent CVs are punishable by law. All references are checked and fake references will be uncovered. Okay, so you can't even fake your references because they will definitely find you, and then yeah, you will not be able to obviously work there. Okay, so guys, the last one I asked you to look at was a mechanic. So obviously there are different types of mechanics. So what requirements could you find for a mechanic? Okay, so guys, anything for a mechanic that you guys could find? What requirements does a mechanic need to have? So mine is an urgent hire. Oh, sorry guys, I think I just quickly had to reconnect there. Mine is an urgent hire. Internet. Okay, let me quickly show you guys mine. Okay, so my mechanic is I'm sorry guys, I'm just waiting for it to be shared. Eventually. Okay, there we go. Okay, so mine, it says urgently hiring, must be honest, reliable. Once again, guys, no criminal record, must have a minimum matric certificate. What I'm assuming what they're meaning here is that you must have at least a matric certificate, must have fair knowledge of petrol and heavy diesel vehicles. Yes, guys, I'm also picking up if you're anything like me, I'm also picking up the spelling mistakes. Must be presentable and a good command of the English language, maybe probably a good understanding of the English language, willing to learn in all departments. It's a full-time, permanent. The salary is between 5,000 and 6,000. Interesting thing that I just picked up here. They probably had this question before. Can you work remotely? No, because you are a mechanic. So are you going to take the car home? You can't do that. You can't take the car home, work on it tonight, and then bring it back tomorrow morning. Okay. So this is probably a question that they had before. Yeah, it needs to be, yes, you're right. It needs to be filled urgently because of the spelling mistake. So they were probably in a hurry typing everything because that's how urgent it is. Okay. So guys, let's quickly take a 15-minute break. Let's come back at 10 past 11, and then we'll continue with the rest of the chapter. Okay, quickly go and get something to drink, something to eat, then come back and we'll continue.